Sunday, September 5th, 2021. The 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. The Gospel passage today is the healing of the deaf and dumb man in the Decapolis, the region of the Gentiles. The narration invites our attention to Ephphatha, an Aramaic word meaning "be open," and to the symbolism of the deaf and the mute. To understand this focus, we must note where the miracle takes place. Jesus had visited the Decapolis a little earlier. Remember the Gadarene man who lived among the tombs? It is the place where the people told Jesus to get out. They were afraid of having to stop their unholy trades, represented by the rearing of the swine. So, Jesus is visiting another town near the Gadarenes, in the Decapolis, a place of the pagans. This time around, the story is of a man whose speech and hearing is bound up. So it looks more like a casting out of evil than it does of a healing. The gesture of making spittle and applying it to the eyes is probably a practice connected with casting out an evil that prevents a man from listening and preaching the word of God. In the narrative of the casting out of the legions from the Gadarene man, the man is a symbol of the whole pagan cult in that region. This deaf and mute person could be a symbol as well. The Ephphatha pronouncement could be a personal story of the deliverance of the man, but it also sounds very symbolic of the opening up of the pagan world to listen to the word of God and to preach it. Given the instructive value of the gospel stories, there is all the reason to believe that this is an answer to the debate on the authority of the Gentiles to preach once they are converted. And the answer is clear. With Ephphatha, they are commissioned to listen and preach the word upon their conversion. The deaf and mute man is unable to communicate. Sadly, the man's situation mirrors our predicament in the most communicative of all places: social media. What comes to a glaring focus in social media is the inability of people to actually communicate and discuss. The users form parallel monologuing groups instead of engaging in constructive dialogues or discussions. Social media has only brought together like-minded people and has added very little to developing sensible conversations. The users are often deaf to alternative ways of thinking and dumb to differing opinions. There is a lack of serious listening. After the miracle is performed, Jesus orders them not to publicize the miracle. The orders to keep quiet play a joke on our world, which stages roadshows to promote underachieving leaders. Actions speak louder than words. Yet, since these leaders are devoid of any good actions, they tend to double the noise. The need to advertise with loudspeakers, uniforms, banners, and symbols is a good commentary on our underachievement. Jesus, on the contrary, refuses to make any show of the miracle. Instead, he asks the people to keep it a secret. Probably because he wanted to establish that the mission of the Messiah is not linked to the miracles themselves, but to the liberation of the bound. Limiting our understanding to the hearing and speech impediment to a physical condition is to limit the potential of the Word of God. Dumbness is the bondage of someone unable to find one's voice, while muteness could be others withholding the liberating message from them. It has both social and political significance. Who are the people who have lost their voices in our society? A special mention is made about Jesus taking the man aside. In the middle of the crowd, Jesus finds time and space for this afflicted person. He has made a habit of giving his time and space so the people can have a personal encounter with him. The Lord is probably aware of the nature of the crowd. We have seen the crowd vanish when Jesus taught them about the bread of life. We have seen the crowd make roadblocks for people who want to make a closer encounter with him. Think of the blind man crying out for help from Jesus and the crowd rebuking him. Zacchaeus could not meet Jesus because of the crowd. He had to climb a tree to even have a view of Jesus. The woman with hemorrhage could not expect to have a personal encounter with Jesus in the middle of the crowd. She wished only to have a touch of the fringe of his cloak. The children were prevented from encountering Jesus by that very same crowd, which even included his disciples. The crowd is often after bread and fish. They will vanish when the test of faith comes, or put up obstacles to hinder others. But an individual encounter with the Lord will leave an indelible mark on the person. Think of the blind man in the Gospel of John. After his encounter with the Master, he refuses to testify against Jesus and even invites the Pharisees to join him in faith. Witnessing comes after having a personal encounter. There could be a crowd faith or a sheepish faith in us. It only takes the lead sheep to take one direction, right or wrong, for the rest of the sheepfold to follow. But there is another option. The sheep can follow the shepherd. We can choose to have a personal encounter with Jesus, a personal faith where decisions are taken based on the commitment to Christ and his values. It is essential to grow in this personal encounter with Christ through the Eucharist, through the Word of God, and through the poor. Freedom springs from a liberating encounter with Christ, the bread of life and the Word of God.